Okay. Hi again. Hello. I hope that you are doing well. Um, Hope you're okay with having a little chat. Uh, Maybe it could be considered an art update as well. There, there have been things happening. Um, so I think last time I went over, like, not went over, but like last time I think I updated about having started the Etsy store or like restarted one for like digital pet portraits, but now decided like it is a good idea. Well, I think it's a good idea that I kind of concentrate on the fine art side of things, um, and then like have the other things kind of like available um, on the side, not on the side, but just like available, you know. Let me scoot this down just a little bit. So, yeah, I'm kind of low key, as you can tell, like over here. It's my umbrella. It's raining out. There's like a storm going to the northeast. So where I am, we just get rain here. So that's pretty good. I used to live in like that part of the country, in a part of the country that was like right off of lakes, like the Great Lakes. So there you have like lake effect, snow, like lake effect, everything. And so it's nice here because there's not like a lot of black ice, iciness in general, snow. I do like the cold though. I think it's because I was raised in like cold weather. And so like the feeling of like being snuggly, you know, like hoodies and layers and scarves and it's like I have my blanket down here like and slippers and like knee-high socks and stuff like I like it. I like the feeling of like I feel warm, um I am looking forward to summer though, which is like a first, because usually like the heat is too much for me, but there's something in me now that has like an appreciation for like it, but then all of the seasons, which is a huge breakthrough, you know. Um, the biggest thing about where I live is the humidity. Um, Sometimes, like, the refreshing part of that is actually the refreshing part of that time of year where it starts getting humid and hot and stuff is being able to come into air conditioning. So the refreshing part now is like when you go outside, like especially like after having been inside all day or a day or two, and you go outside and like breathe like really cool air, it's like getting like a rush of oxygen, which is like so nice feeling. So, but it got a little cold. I don't know what temperature it is. 36. So, which is like wild because after the Arctic freeze or whatever that happened a few weeks ago, we went from like 20s and 30s, 20s at the very least, it was really 30s, to like 78. And now we're back down to like 38. So, I think spring is going to be really pretty. I'm looking forward to spring and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, so I just got done ordering business cards, which is, gosh, the first time I've ordered business cards in like years. I mean, it's like a little embarrassing to say, but like, I don't know, like I think as a graphic designer and somebody who can be cheap, um, and with my mind frame of like, you know, the art can speak for itself and these actually aren't too bad. Like I was making my own business cards at home and they're then they weren't bad. But then there came a time where I just didn't really have a need for business cards. Like, I guess there's always a need. I think that is true. But I think now that I'm getting more streamlined, it's like I can see all of these things more clearly. Especially having gone through like the act of ordering and stuff like that, and seeing how pretty they look. Like, I ordered just plain white. Originally I was gonna get white with a black background and a black back with more information in white on the back. And this could be me being cheap, but then I also felt like I was lured kind of into it because the design that was offered to me seemed to be like all inclusive. And then I got through the design process, and then to get what I wanted, it was like it was like double the price of what I was anticipating. So I didn't see the need for that much extra in payment. Like, there's some things that if I had unlimited amounts of money, would have I gotten that? Would I have gotten that? And I don't really know. Like, as I don't know if I would just become like reckless and be like, forget about it, or if that would lead me to like overlooking like a better option. Because what happened was I actually got a better option. And it's the feeling, it's like the feeling of like the upcharge. I don't like beat around the bush upcharges, you know, like, so that maybe that feeling, even if I had unlimited amounts of money to spend on these things or anything, would have still prevented me. I hope so, because the card that I got is plain white and it's simple. It's like the original idea, but it got kind of altered. Like, because when I got to my name, I didn't like the way that my name looked, you know, as far as like how it needs to be presented legally now. And so I was like, okay, scratch that, you know. So then I went with like kind of like my alias, but I went with just like my site name without the .com, and it looked really nice. So then I was like, well, if I thought about changing the print or the font, and so I found a font that with the simple letters, there's only 6 letters and 2 of them are capitalized, and then there was like a dash. When I blew it up, you could see how beautiful the font was, because it was like a calligraphy type of font, but within each letter, especially the capitalized ones, there was a lot of detailing, like Gothic detailing. And so with the simplicity of like the letters and making it big, it was just really beautiful. So, and then in like a complimentary kind of, and it's in gold, so which is cool, white background, gold main font, big, Gothic, and the smaller font is where like my personal info, like my number, my site, my email, and which is nice because I purchased my email, my dedicated email box like a week or 2 ago, and so that's been very cool, because like when I was in school, like back in the day, I went through all of these things of like getting my own site and having an email box. So over the years, like, it was funny to see the way that things changed, because like I was in what they call a grandfather deal, or within a grandfather, I think, clause is what the technical name for it is, which is like when a company has a product but they have like really old versions, like software is a good example, like Adobe grandfather editions. Like Adobe right now everything is CC in the Creative Cloud. It's all like up there. And so, you know, the grandfather version would be like maybe like a 2010 independent copy of like Photoshop that you can buy. But they're phasing all those things out. So with this company, I was with GoDaddy, and they had like specials from when I was in school, but I had my site and everything in my mailbox with them for so many years that my neighbors, I think, have people over. which I don't mind. Like, I don't know, they're not too loud. And the people that they have over aren't obnoxious. Like, they don't make me feel like uncomfortable. I think they're still respectful to like the neighborhood, you know. Like some cats, whoa, it's like tear the club up, and it's like constant drama. It's constant all that. But when people are kind of like cool, it's like a guy and a girl. I think they're in a relationship. They seem to be a couple, and you know, they're like maybe 10 years younger than me or so. Like that kind of energy is cool. I can deal with that. So yeah, welcome. But what I was gonna say is that I had my email address and everything with them for so long that I never went through like the new procedures for an email box. Like they even changed servers and all this like configuration. But so when I purchased this email box, it was through the same company that I have my site with. And I think that's always the case. There may be some way around that where you can buy an email address independently, but that may be getting into some technical stuff that's just, you know, beat around the bush. But I love cool gums. It feels so good. Maybe me talking makes me get hot. I don't know, but I'm not hot, but water's so refreshing. So the email account is cool. They were running a special, and I think they probably always like frequently run specials for people who are like new account holders and people who don't have specific products. So it was nice. So on my card I have that dedicated email, which is the same email that's on my site. I updated that. So I think the next thing to do, besides like get to painting, is to add like the store links and store page or pages to my site and really reconfigure my site, because right now the way it's designed, there's no like home to like easily put a store, and the pages aren't categorized where I could put it in that way. I kind of have to move like a drawing over to a tab, or I don't know, because I don't want to add any more tabs to what I have. If it's like if I just added a tab for store, it would be maybe a little bit too cluttered of a site, because I already have so many tabs now. So I might have to move some like the fine art stuff around to be like all in one column. I don't know, I'm kind of thinking out loud, but that's the next thing I need to do. But I think it is a good idea to like stagger marketing and like basically like the office side of things, like basically the marketing, because everything has to do with marketing if it's not like creating art, seems like. But so since I bought my cards, I think the next thing to do is start painting, and then when I have like a, you know, a break or a stopping point with painting, go back in and do the web stuff. So I have more things to add to my Etsy site, or my Etsy page, and then the same things for my website. And then I need to change a few things around on the Facebook artists page, and then I still need to make the Instagram and Twitter accounts when all of that is done. So, you know, the feeling of like being progressive is important to me. Like I enjoy the feeling of like I got something done. Like I have that feeling now because of having ordered my business cards. And so I think that would be part of like keeping up the momentum of things. And I think that spills out overall. Like, you know, I always want to keep up with everything in my life, like, you know, consistently, like across like all categories. But sometimes when I'm falling behind in one, I feel like my energy kind of goes into that direction, like I need to do this, even though, and sometimes I put too much energy into it because, you know, I'll put more of a weight of importance on like work stuff and then school stuff before like other more like spiritual categories. I haven't gotten to the point of learning how important the spiritual part is in tandem with the work and school part. I'm still like, my feet are still on earth. Maybe, you know, I can put it that way, but I'm learning as time goes on. Like, you know, I think I just need to experience, not experience, but maybe gain more experience. Yeah, that's what I'm looking to say. I think as time goes on and as I grow and mature in these, like the spiritual part of things, and realizing like their weight and importance, then it's gonna become like maybe more evident, or maybe, you know, it becoming more evident, it'll make things more clear, or maybe just make things more clear in general. I'm not really sure, but they seem to be going like up and up at a pretty good pace together now. You know, like when one has like a breakthrough or hits a milestone, then usually the other does. And it's like two ladders, and you have, you know, you're climbing, like there's progress made on both ladders at an equal rate. So, and that's good. So it's kind of like Skyrim. Like when you like level up, you can put one of your like level up points either in your magic, your stamina, or your health. And so if you have a ton of health, that's going to be cool. But then when you need to cast like a really big spell and you don't have enough points or a high enough magic rating, then you really can't do that, you know? And it's the same with stamina. Like, so when you put your points like evenly across the board, maybe, you know, things work out a little bit better, you know, than if it's like lopsided. And it's like a gradual progression. Like you can't just, you know, take off and leave anything behind. So that part of the work is, the milestones are enjoyable. The work I'm learning to do gladly. I think a lot of the work that happens, like I'm glad about it. I think professionally, I feel as if that part I have catching up to do. And then that sometimes makes me feel as if I need to do more work with work. So the concept of kind of like being relaxed, or, you know, being patient even with my career, it's like when you have felt behind for so many years, like it just becomes like I gotta do something, you know, something's gotta give, you know. And I've gotten to this point where I can see the things that aren't right for me, you know, like jobs that I've applied for, jobs I was laid off from. So, you know, sometimes that kind of, I don't take into account like how not right jobs, you know, are better off left behind. Sometimes I just carry one set of feelings with me, and now I'm seeing like more clearly, like take the whole picture with you, you know, like I need to carry the whole picture with me. So I feel like I'm in the right place right now. I still have this like feeling that I need help, and I think that's being soothed by the notion of like going to grad school, because I think as an artist, like I feel as if I still have a ways to go, but I don't even think really in my heart that I believe that to be true. I think that just having more of a grasp. No, getting deeper into like the professional realm, I think will iron that out. Like, you know, all the things so far have been great. Like, you know, getting a new site, a new mailbox, business cards, Etsy store, and I still have more to go. I think, you know, I'm at like, you know, at the beginning of feeling like, okay, yeah, this is what I do. And I think maybe like as I'm hit each milestone, because each one feels good on their own. Like, you know, purchasing my business cards today felt good. Making progress on this painting is gonna feel good. Adding the page to my website is gonna feel good. And then there's gonna come a point where all of the introductory things are gonna be pretty much complete, and that'll feel good. And then it'll get to the next level of like refining things and ideas about like contacting certain companies, like maybe like Home Goods or any other places that have like wall decoration prints, because I'm interested in print work, or, you know, selling prints. That'll be more of a like landscape and flowers and commercial art approach. But even as an artist, I'm looking forward to that. I've been really looking forward to doing a still life, you know, like I haven't done a still life in like years. So like just setting one up, I think is gonna be great. And then that's really interesting because like, what do I do? Like, do I just use stuff around my house, or do I go for this classical thing? It's really exciting because, you know, I don't want to buy anything, honestly, because it just accumulates. But I really don't have much in my house that is of a fine art kind of thing. Like, I think I have a glass vase, and I could get fresh flowers for that, and like ribbons and all those type, I guess fruit. So I guess I could, you know, or I could do like modern stuff, you know, and that might be interesting. So I don't know. That's pretty fun, but that's kind of like later, you know, because not too much later, because I have to speed up my. It's not too long. I feel like I've been talking to about a long time, but maybe I just have more content. I think everything has become more like streamlined, but yeah, like speeding up the art or getting faster at painting, that's kind of like that ladder situation, because you can't just speed up and decide, okay, I'm just going to paint this really fast. Like if you're doing practice, then that's cool, or maybe like a form of abstract where it's like fast abstract and you just want to see what happens when you like intentionally paint quickly. That's borderline like practice. But like, I don't know how long a painting is supposed to take, because and I'm speaking lower now or less loudly because my heat just turned off. So usually in my house I have something going on. It's either heat or air conditioning, depending on what the season is, or a washer or a dryer, and every now and again a dishwasher. So but yeah, I really don't know how long a painting is supposed to take. Like, yeah, and I think that's where the school part will come in, because then I'll be at a pace in a class, but then I'll also like, you know, because I'll have assignments, but I'll be more dedicated in a full-time way to art. The schedule will be one thing, but like the immersion will be another. And that's what I think that I'm really looking forward to. Of course, the learning, but I'm also looking forward to being immersed. And I think school has been like my scapegoat kind of, like my excuse, because, you know, I'm just beginning now as a professional painter. And before it was like graphic design. And then before that it was tattooing. And so now, like, and during these other things, I always would be looking forward to the day that I could just paint. But now that the day is here, now I'm like, okay, I'm getting used to that feeling, you know, like, because that's a new thing, like setting up, even just the setup and breakdown, but like the act of painting, and like I would get burnt out. I still get burnt out, like of anything artistic that I do, like I have a time limit, you know, then you have to take a break. I think that's anybody. I think that's any medium, actually. But with graphic design, like it would have a different feel. Like how I would behave when I was burnt out, when I was in front of like a piece of software, I think is different than when I'm painting. Like with software, I tend to get moody. Like I physically feel mentally worn out. But with painting, I'm okay with stopping like early and then like cleaning up. Like I reached that point and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. But then there's like that point of like learning, okay, is it time just to take a break? Or is it time to like clean up and be done and do something else? And then you get into those, you know, the possibility, you get into the start of painting like 4 hours a day, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. I can't imagine painting more than 7 hours in a day. You know, like, and in a day where, like, let's say like the whole day was open for like painting, like it was one of those types of days. Some days a lot of days just aren't like that. And that's what I'm learning to be really happy with. Because I think I still have this mentality of like, you know, a set amount of hours for like physical, actual work, tangible work. But a lot of times the spiritual work is way more important. And, you know, like the meditation and prayer and reading the Bible. But I think meditation like really takes it there, because, you know, prayer can be incorporated into meditation. And like even my dreams lately have been like very spiritual. Like the most recent big one was like being home, like on another planet, like outside of this galaxy, outside, beyond galaxy, beyond like this, like to the edge of this dimension, you know, but still planetary and still like space. But if you ever see those pictures of like the entirety of outer space, or at least of how big, you know, like the space people are capable of taking pictures, like it gets ridiculous. And they don't see an edge. There is no like stopping point, you know. So, you know, and so the area was like really nice, and I was with my mom, and my dad was around, but my dad was in like spirit form, like demigod, you know, form, and always around, but like not tangibly able to be seen. And so me and my family, like my other, were sitting down with my mother, and, you know, to eat. And it was just like a different everything, you know, different communication style. You can change clothes just by thinking about what you want to wear. You can change food, just what you want to eat, but the clothing just seemed space-like, I guess, or just so different. Like it couldn't even be explained in like the English language, just because the, I guess, agriculture and materials, like common materials, were just something that were so far from what we have on Earth. It couldn't even be like fathomed by like an earthly perspective, you know? And it was just like an introduction to like the truth, the entirety of how things are. Like more information about my family, you know, it just got more and more, I guess, exposed during the dream, I guess, dream sequence or dream time. I don't know what you call it. It didn't seem fake, but it was just like really comfortable. It was like a reunion and an introduction and approval, and you know, and I look forward to seeing you again, all in one, you know. And I don't remember too far out from where we were sitting, but I do remember thinking, you know, like a golden kind of palace, really clean and beautiful, kind of modern, but not modern in an earthly kind of sense, but like, you know, metallic. And I felt like we were pretty heavily guarded, but not because there was like a threat, but just because that was the nature of like the kingdom and the family history, and it's very royal family. And but you know, the other part of the information was, you know, the history that we know of so far in space alone in this dimension goes back billions of years. So you fast forward to people or beings that have spirits and beings and entities that have been through all of that over and over and over together, to a point where they have a very solid foundation. Like you have ones who are very happy to be acquainted and to provide service, and that extends out into any way that it could be. Protection is maybe one of them. So, and there's all kinds of beings, you know, like you have more like ET kind of beings, extraterrestrial beings and spirits, like demigods, like goddess types, you know. So it reminded me of a friend that I used to have. She and I met randomly, and you know, we didn't stay in contact for long, but when we were around each other, we enjoyed being around each other. She was seen as being very different than other people who are around us, and I was kind of like the bridge, because I understood her perspective and where she was coming from, whereas others saw it as being like really far out. And she used to tell me like how on my planet I'm a mermaid, and how powerful my mom was or is, and how she was always watching. And this is my mom, like way out. So it was interesting to hear these things from her, because I had never heard anything like this before. And she would tell me about a lot of stuff, and we would have a lot of discussions. And I remember around that time, strange things started happening. And that was interesting too. You see the shift of dynamics and things like that. So paying attention to those things, I think, is really important. Because this is a spiritual place. Like the earth is a beautiful place. But it has spiritual energies that are unique, I think, to anything else that you would find, you know, like the human. You can just kind of see it in humans versus other of our buddies here on the planet, like fish, and then, snakes, and then maybe lizards, and then like certain monkeys and apes, and then elephants and whales, and birds and dogs. So you see how everyone's like attitude is kind of like different, and then you get into how we are as humans, and then it's like, oh, okay, so that kind of, I think, variety and comparison is the same between like here on earth and like the other spiritual realms, because there are a lot of spiritual realms. I don't know how many. I really can't quantify that. But another thing I really like, this is kind of off topic, is quantum science, because quantum science pretty much explains the spiritual world. Like, it's one of the only sciences that says, we don't know that much, haven't gotten there yet, haven't gotten that far. It's so refreshing to have a science that's like that. Like, I watch some things that are the other way around. Like, well, it's never been proven that there's a soul. The soul is what invented science and said, this is science. It's not that the body dictates the outcome. Like, the body may wear down over time because it ultimately is a kind of machine. And besides energy, there's really nothing that is indefinite. Energy meaning the soul. Kind of going off here. But it's the soul that governs the body to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like the battery in like the toy. You don't press the button and then, expect it to work without the battery in it. The soul is what tells all of these things to function, and then you get into like the mind and then all of those jurisdictions. It's the same in space and other energy levels. And it's beyond crazy to me to hear scientists talk about like irrelevant things, like the soul doesn't exist because it can't be explained by science. And I kind of just observe at that point, like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. So another thing is I do laugh. One thing in the dream that really was articulated was like the laughing thing, because in the dream, or the dream sequence, maybe alternate reality, but I was gonna say things can go far, but I noticed that my mom laughed and smiled a lot, and dad's kind of sterner, but that's like a Poseidon, Aries, Shiva kind of presence, but you get to a one degree. But then you get to this point after all those billions of years and after all of those things, and whatever all those things were and are that were achieved or gotten through, you get to this point where like laughter is like second nature, because it definitely wasn't all the other stuff. I remember I had a past life regression, and I was a Neanderthal, and like even in the dream I remember like exploring different parts of space, and it was just like, there's a lot, I don't like the void. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta respect the void. You gotta respect the black hole and those things, because even if you come back down to Earth, those things aren't explained. You go into the black hole, you're not coming out. You're not sending some rover into the black hole. Nah, forget about it. Quantum, don't want to go in there. But back to the past life regression, it's like, I remember just barrenness. It was before like really trees and green life, things, or life in general. It was just straight primal beings surviving. and there wasn't any language, like no language. That's why I think I like language now, and writing and all that kind of stuff, and hearing and talking. I can talk forever, because I remember in this past life situation, man, like the feeling was just like no laughter, no joy, just straight work. Work to eat, work to survive, work to take care of the pack. And I was like the pack leader. And these are Neanderthals, okay? No discussion, fighting other groups, just making it. I remember I was asked to talk about the end of my life and my past life regression. I remember just feeling like my hands were going straight up. And I was like, yes. And the feeling as a Neanderthal that I had was I made it. Like death was like a victory. Like I led the pack well. We made it some years. We evolved, not like evolved in like evolutionary sense, but like we made it through whatever we could in this lifetime. And that meant progress. And then it was just like, yes, time to go. And it was just like, wow, so you go into my dream situation, you go back even more, billions of years of all of these things, like the first waves of energy. That was like another thing that came up in the dream. It was like, where did these energies come from? And it started getting so deep, because there's that question of like, well, if God created this, then who created God? It got, like in the dream, it got to the edge of like being able to understand that, just the edge. But also, even in the dream, this planet that was on the edge of this, time and space stamp, this energy plane, there was still an understanding that God is God. And then there was understanding about Jesus Christ being his son. And that brought it way down to earth, like literally. It was like a huge aha moment, like, there you go. This extraordinary man was doing these things to just try to give a drop of articulation to like all of this stuff. Not saying that all these things are above him, but like God is Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit and the Trinity are one. It was just like a wow, So, and those that types of things, like, I believe clear blocks. I've learned that they do clear blocks. Like, I get short of breath. I get moody. Sometimes I just need to cry. It just gets pushed out. My heart skips beats or palpate. I don't know. But when it's like, feels like your heart's like beating twice in a row or moving or something. My sleeping is sometimes off. Like I'm sleeping a couple hours and then not. Like, get really hungry for certain things. I have to drink a lot of like fluids, like waters and juices. I've been drinking like celery juice like forever now, It was also because I kind of messed myself up voluntarily over the holidays by eating like a whole pizza over a course of time. But that much gluten, forget about it. I love pizza, like pizza and biscuits and fried chicken and everything that's like pasta, but forget about it. It's not worth like how allergic I am to it. So, but that's part of the reason, like the celery juice. But then it's also been helping, like, clear out my system in general, and cranberry juice and everything. It's like you have to keep up with these downloads and influxes of information, and then the natural way that the body pushes out like unnecessary energy. And I've noticed, like, you have to fight negative thoughts. Like literally, I picture in my mind like chasing them away, not yelling them away, because I don't want to like, become too aggressive in my mind. But like I'm really like telling negative thoughts like, you're not welcome here. evil stuff, negative stuff, nope, can't even deal. And I really am thankful for that, because it's like part of the cycle of things. Like when these things come in, and then you realize, like, another thing that I got from the dream was like there's going to be even a tighter rein of my negative thoughts. Oh, well, she's getting this attention on this show, but ultimately she's this and that. It's like me being like jealous and judging and all that kind of stuff. It just blocks any kind of truth, and it does yourself a disservice, but then it also blocks the truth, which in turn prevents progress. So this is the spiritual stuff that I say is so important, reading the Bible a little bit at a time. I've noticed, like, I just need a few verses, and then I get dropped this huge chunk of information, and then I gotta marinate on this, and then I just go about my day. And so, yeah, so everything's been very progressive, and I'm hoping that through my art, these things are felt. I'm hoping that my art has a better vibe to it. Not saying that the vibe was bad before, but I'm hoping that as my spirit gets lifted and clearer and more truths come in, and I get more positive, and how all these things just come out through the work. I still plan on painting and drawing hardcore stuff. It's just like the vibe of the person, I think, really makes the work special. Like, it's your soul. You wonder why, you have such fresh work. So, I don't know. Hello. It's me. I hope I'm making sense there. Of course there's extreme talent in particular situations. And personally, I hope that I improve talent-wise. I have weaknesses, so I'm hoping that I improve in those ways. But I'm hoping that the feeling, what I'm saying, like, comes through. Like, some work looks really nice, but then it's like maybe I don't resonate or whatever, and then other work, it's like it's pretty powerful. I'm hoping that, like, my work just gets pumped full of that, and then I get technically, like, outstanding. I hope so. That's what I'm hoping that will come with time, and then be, refined through, mentorship, union, things like that. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to go continue my night. It has been a great conversation. I know I went into, like, that place of, like, wow. I hope that wasn't too deep, but overall, it's a really good thing. So I'm hoping to have more dreams like that. So, and even more in all kinds of ways, So, yeah, moving forward. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.